Hello YouTube and welcome back at the Tool Teardown channel. Unfortunately it took a little longer than I was hoping for a new video to come out, but we're here now on the fake marble worktop in our kitchen for the time being in the new house. My wife's gonna kill me if she sees this. Anyway, let's get straight into it. You guys love the Einhell reviews on the channel. I've done 2 so far and they're clocking up the views quite nicely. So I thought, because we now surpassed 100 subscribers, whoop whoop, we're doing something special. Ta-da! It's so big it doesn't even fit in the frame. It's the Einhell Power Exchange TE-CS 190 lithium BL, as in brushless. So this comes with the brushless motor. So this is their latest offerings in terms of a circular saw. The largest one as well that they do, 190mm blade. And it has a variable inner diameter option. So this saw can take blades of both 20mm and 30mm inner diameter holes. So yeah, 1.6mm cutting width. Nice carbide tip blade. That comes as standard with the saw. I use this for a bit now because obviously with moving house you're doing DIY stuff and things, so pretty impressed with this little saw. It's got the nice soft grip, comes with the built-in Allen key to swap the blades out. Even the little trigger has soft grip on the edge of it, which is quite nice when you use this a lot. A little safety switch, pull it, and off you go. The other good thing about this saw is the aluminium base. So a lot of the saws in the lower end of the segment, price-wise, they come, even the offerings from Bosch and Makita and the likes, they come with a very flimsy metal base. This is a cast aluminium base, quite sturdy, no flax to it because of all the ribs that are in it. We'll have a closer look at that as we're taking it apart. So it's a very good quality base. Comes with the optional attachment which you can slide in. If we just undo this a little bit. So you could use it to perform some rip cuts, long pieces of timber, nice straight edge, although it does flex a little bit. So if you want to do precision work, I suggest buy the additional tracks that come with it. So this saw is compatible with the Einhell track. I haven't got it myself, so I couldn't tell you if it works or not. As you can see at the bottom here as well, while we have it upside down, it's a painted aluminium finish, which obviously once using it you'll see that the paint is starting to come off in places. The plastic cover, protect shield for the saw blade, which comes with a nice little handy handle, so you can just use it, you know, away from the saw. Safe operation, easy to adjust depth. So from I think 65mm max cutting depth to 0 and everything in between. The lighting isn't optimum in here, but it comes with the let's see if we can focus in on that a little bit. Whoop. With the depth settings on here, so you can go all the way from 0 up there to 65 down the bottom. There we go. So that works quite nicely. You just push the handle down and it sets itself into place. And then we got the angle adjuster as well. So you got your 45-degree angle little indicator there, and then all the way down to this is the only downside of it, that handle all the way down to 0 there. When the handle is down there, it catches every now and then, so you have to be careful that if you want to set it to 0, that the locking handle is out of the way. Then the mandatory disco lighting. It's not a laser, so this could be an improvement point if Einhell ever considers making this a little bit nicer. It's a bit easier if you have a line to follow. So as soon as you press the safety switch to unlock the saw, you'll see that the light comes on. So it's if you're working in poorly lit environments, it's quite nice. On the base, we can just zoom in there. You got your 0 marker for the 45 degrees and the 0 degrees there. So when you press the safety switch, the base gets illuminated, so you have a little bit of extra light as to where you're looking at on your markers if you're working based on lines that you draw on the piece of timber that you'd like to cut. All in all, quite a nice little saw for the price. In the UK on Amazon it retails for around £145. In euros, the recommended retail price on the Einhell website is €150, or just shy of that. Or in US dollars, you're looking at about 200. So this is in the lower segment of the market, but large diameter. A lot of the other or more premium branded saws, they come with slightly smaller diameter blades. So all in all, for the price, you get a decent quality saw, or at least that's what it looks like on the outside. We'll have a look on the inside. The other good feature about this is dust extraction. It swivels, so you can have this pointing whichever way with a shop vac or a professional vacuum, if you use this indoors primarily. It goes all the way down, so it fits the larger battery packs as well. This is the 4 amp pack, so this is down all the way to, you have a little gap there, so even the larger packs from Einhell would fit this saw. The 65mm depth marker, maximum cutting depth of this saw. It's quite a nice little saw. You press the button, and it's got a brake on it as well, so as soon as you let it go, it stops pretty much instantly. If you load it up to the edge of the wood and you're trying to start it, it won't fire up, so it's got like a safety precaution. It thinks your finger is still in the way, so it won't fire up the saw. So as soon as it detects resistance upon the initial startup, it won't even try. It literally makes a little clunk noise, and that's that. So from a safety point of view, pretty good. So enough waffling, let's have a look inside, shall we? So let's start by taking the battery out. As you can see, I did use the saw, so there's still quite a lot of sawdust coming out of this thing. So let's put the battery to the side. I did have a quick look before I started the video. There is quite a lot of different fasteners being used. So we got the Phillips heads for the aluminium shield. We've got T15 for these ones, and then T10 for for the little cover that covers the brushless energy motor housing. So let's start by taking that apart and this apart, and then we'll work our way through.
I'll trust the old little impact driver. There's one. I'm still improvising a little bit because most of my tools and my workbench are still on their way from our previous house to the new house. I don't know why it takes so long for a shipping container to arrive within the boundaries of Europe.
So let's have a look. Ta-da! So this is the little dust cover that covers the brushless motor in all its glory. ISC, which is obviously the Einhell owning organization who owns the Einhell brand in the spare parts division, as we've seen previously on the impact driver and other devices from the Einhell family. PA6, it's a bit difficult to see in the light, there we go, with 30% glass fiber reinforcement, so this is a proper nice stiff good quality tool plastic. We got the little cooling fan, which is interestingly shaped. So basically it draws the air from this side of the saw. If we zoom out a little bit, the other side of the saw is obviously where the dust and the cutting has been done with the dust extraction. So it tries to draw through the cover where the little holes are, the fresh air into the motor, and blows it through the motor, and then it comes out on the other way. It's a bit difficult to see because this thing is so bulky. There's little holes there, so it actually blows the air into the motor housing and out to the sides there, which also helps on the back there, for instance. I don't know if you just about, let's see if we can make that go away. There we go. On the back there's some more holes there for the hot air coming out of the motor. This also helps blowing away the dust once you're cutting, so you can see what you're doing, sort of. Let's start by taking the housing apart. There we go. Oops. Let's take the Allen key, which comes standard with the device, to swap out your saw blades.
Plenty of fasteners in there.
I put an extra light on the occasion so that we can see a little bit more. It's a bit dark in the kitchen. Right, let's take as much of the fasteners out as we can. They're all the same length, which is good, so we don't get confused putting it all back together. There we go. Oh, I see. There's two little fasteners down on the inside of the housing that hold this part of the housing together. So let's just see if we can get in there with a bit long enough. Ooh, this is going to be tricky. We're back with the new device, a new tool. So let's see if we can get to it now.
Oh yes. So that works. Right, so that's that. There we go.
Let's have a look. Take the clam away. There we go. That's one half of the clamshell. Nice and stiff. You only really slide it forwards and backwards. You don't really twist it as such, but it's a nice stiff molding. There we are. So the ISC logo, as we can see it there, partly printed upside down. So the ISC this way around, but then we have to flip it for the actual. So it's TPE, which is the black overmolding. And then we have, let's see, there we go, PA6 with 30% glass fiber reinforcement. So again, proper tool grade plastics used. And as we've seen with some of the other tools out of the Einhell family and other manufacturers, a little bit of leftover residue of the TPA overmolding in some spots, but it's nicely through molded in various places. The mold is of a good quality. This is a fairly new product, so I guess the tool is still fairly fresh. Very simple on the internals, so very simple trigger switch, wiring, which a little bit messy, but you know, there's some excess there that they've tidied up. The familiar battery terminal, very nice and solid design. The control board for the brushless motor. I mean, this is a one-directional brushless motor. It's on or off. It always runs at maximum speed when it's cutting. It's just that the slow start and the instant stop functionality are also controlled by the actual board. So yeah, very solid battery terminal, as we know from other Einhell products. Nothing wrong with that. Nicely heat shrunk on the terminals. Beefy wires going into the trigger switch, little regulator there. The trigger switch itself is a familiar sight, I'm about to say. The little safety switch to stop it from, so per default it's got a little spring in there. Let's focus. So I don't know, you can see, but it's got the little spring inside the switch, so it always centers the little toggle here. So you can push it both ways to disengage the safety mechanism. So as a default, if you pick up the saw and you would pick it up by the handle and you by accident press the trigger switch, you don't turn on the saw automatically. So that's why there is this dual action. You can still use it one-handed, you know, you use your thumb for the safety switch and then you pull the trigger. Yeah, very simple but effective design.
Nice long screws, they go all the way down into the metal housing of the gear reduction, I guess, if it has such thing.
Let's take the blade off and then we disassemble it from this side, and then hopefully the motor will come out, because maybe the blade is what it holds together. So to swap the blade, there's a button here that stops the motor from spinning, so you have to press that and then use the provided Allen key to undo it. There we go. Oops, there we go. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's the arrangement that holds the blade on. And then there is your saw blade, carbide tips. But yeah, you can buy similar size diameter blades with a variable inner diameter, so both 20mm and 30mm blades can be used with this saw. The ring that holds it in place can accommodate both. And this is the backing plate for the blade, and then we'll take apart the motor housing.
That's one, that's two. There we go. Now we can get to that one. Oops.
And there's that one. Right, and then there's two more screws down in the dark dooms of the machine. There we are. And then we have another one there. This thing is littered with little fasteners left, right and centre. Plastic housing, again it's got the ISC logo in there. Hasn't got any referencing to the material, but I guess there isn't a lot of space for it either. You can see the little LED, shine some light on it, with the little wiring that runs to it. If we take the aluminium housing apart, we can actually get into it a little bit deeper, so let's continue doing that.
And then there is one more hiding there. Oh dear, something there. Oh, let's just get this thing out of the way, there we go.
Let's see if we can take it apart. Oh, this looks promising. Right, I just cut the little plastic sticker open, so now we can actually take the assembly apart. There we are. That's the inside of the aluminium housing, nicely die casted, and then the outside is finished in a nice silver paint, and then with the Einhell branded sticker on there. There's no markings on here whatsoever. Shop vac dust extraction attachment, a little swivel so that can just turn in 360-degree rotations there. Oh, we see more screws there. Let's see if we take those apart. The amount of fasteners in this thing are crazy. It all fell apart. Right, as I was just faffing around with the machine trying to understand how it all comes apart, it did me the favor of just falling apart. So this is the little gear reduction. So it's a one gear reduction, so a little worm wheel drive onto this bigger cog, which is nicely greased up in here. So there's a little bearing in there, little bit of play on it, as you might be able to see on the camera, and then it's held in there by a bushing of sorts, and then the worm wheel is directly driven by the brushless motor. Then on the back, this is the little locking peg that locks in to one of these little, behind there are some little cams where this little piece locks in, and that stops it from spinning so that you can undo your saw blade. That just lives in there, slides up and down like that. Good amount of grease in there, which is good. That'll last a good few years without troubles. Right, so let's continue further. The plastic housing as such, this looks like a polycarbonate, as I was saying, polycarbonate, with the ISC logo in it again, if we can read it. Very fragile, so in a couple of years' time this goes a bit brittle and it'll break if you drop the saw, so that's a point of attention. Right, let's see if we can get the motor out. There we go. It's the permanent magnets that hold it in place. There we are. So this is your brushless core, the rotor, with the worm drive that directly drives the gear on the back here. Directly engages that. Gear reduction, the saw itself spins around 7,900 RPMs. The motor is something around 20 to 25,000 RPMs normally. So there you can see the brushless motor in all its glory. So the control board controls the current through the coils, which makes them magnetic, and then the direct magnets in here gets either attracted or pushed away very quickly. Very strong, very efficient motor. No parts that are in contact, and you only have one moving part, which is this. So they last a very long time. Having a look on the inside of the cooling fan, which is that one. This one is actually, you could just about see it through the housing there. The blades are at an angle, so this is actually a directional fan. So for maximum cooling, and if I just spin it like this, you can feel the cold air blowing through the motor, so it gets the heat from out here out to the motor and out the saw at the sides, as we've seen earlier in the video. So the brushless motor is very similar to the impact driver we had a look at in our very first video on the channel a couple of months ago. Let's see if we can take this further apart so we can have a look at the electrics. Having a look at the switch. Another J-level switch, as we have seen with all the Einhell products thus far. This one has the addition of the little rubber overmolding, which is already sort of peeling off a little bit due to frequent use. Tooth markings on the J-level switch as per the norm. So yeah, the control wires, nice beefy. We soldered onto the switch with a bit of heat shrink over them, nicely done. A bit of excess wiring, which is why it looks a little bit tangled and messy. The control wires for the board and the switch, and then the power supply, the plus from the positive from the battery terminal into the switch and then into the board, and then the neutral goes straight from the board back to the terminal. Right, I just removed some of the grease, and as we can just about see there, let's zoom in a little bit, there is a little fastener hidden there. There's one little fastener there that holds the whole assembly in place, so we'll get that out, and then we should, fingers crossed, get somewhere with this disassembly finally. Let's see if we can get, oh, there we go, that's basically the whole assembly. So this is your base, die cast, fully aluminium, and then the actual uprights are riveted in place. So nice and solid, nothing wrong with that. Now we can take the other side of the clam apart, and as we like to do with all tools that we take apart, let's see how good the quality of the clamshells are. But yeah, this fits. I mean, there's no screws in it, so there's a little bit of gapping going on, but good quality, nice and stiff, nothing wrong with that. This one is actually written the right way around, so all the text is facing the correct way. So we can see in the light there PA6 with 30% glass fiber and the TPE overmolding, which is the black stuff, and again on this side as well, nicely integrated into the mold. Right, then we have a look at the good stuff. The little LED, as we've seen them before, with the little plastic housing basically to hide the cables. Nicely done, straight onto the board, epoxied in place. A capacitor here that basically regulates the startup of the machine. It's a nice beefy capacitor, and then we can see all around on the individual coils the MOSFETs that control the current flow. As this saw only does one speed, it'll be on and off. But because it's got a slow startup and an initial, in almost instant braking feature for safety reasons, they use the MOSFETs for the slow startup, so they ramp them up gradually to get that slow startup that you could hear earlier. And I'll put a clip in the video now where you can hear the noise again. And then when you let go of it, you can hear the instant braking of the machine. That's basically just done by slowing these boys down pretty much instantly, so that the saw stops pretty quickly after you've released the trigger switch. But yeah, nice, good quality brushless motor. There's a lot going on and a lot of dust going on. There we got the MLBL13 6030. All in all, a good assembly, good quality parts. Right, summary. The actual inner workings of the machine, the motor, the rotor and the actual stator, the control module, the MOSFETs, the assembly, all looks very good quality, well made, use of good materials, nicely assembled, good quality switch, very good beefy terminal. The only little remark that we can make here is the TPE overmolding on the switch is already starting to peel after about 3 months of occasional use. The two parts of the housing, good quality, nothing wrong with them. They're made and finished to a good standard. I mean, if we want to be very critical, the sticker replication could be improved somewhat. It's slightly crooked, but then we're nitpicking. The base is such, nice and sturdy, very solid base. Nothing wrong with these. Finished in a silver. Obviously the bottom, which is also painted, will wear out when you use it a lot. Pretty accurately on the 0 mark. The 45-degree positioning, I personally recommend if you do cut at an angle, a carpenter square, just to make sure that you set the angles correct. Gearing looks good. This looks hardened, as we can just judge by the color. I haven't got a file with me, that's still part of the house move, so I couldn't tell you if this is proper hardened material or not. A little bit complicated taking apart. For the price point of around £145 in the UK, or 150 odd euros in Europe, or $200 in the States, you get a really nice, good quality saw for your money. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up.